Hi there, my name is Rachel. This is my third video blog for the cross-gender activity project. As you can see, my chosen activity is chess. So today I will show you the basic rules of chess, how to play, what are the pieces, and hopefully some basic opening strategy that I can include in there. So let's start looking at the chessboard. I have the 2D version right here to show you the notations. For chessboard, it's an 8x8 board, so you have 64 squares total, and people have the notations here. I believe it's very useful for analysis. You can analyze your past performance, analyze your opponent's style, is it like attacking or defending, how they would like start the match usually. So it's very useful to have those feedback and analysis. And they would have these notations, so you can look at it like a transcript instead of watching the video of how each person moves. And you have the horizontal part and the vertical part right here. They would label the vertical column with the numbers from 1 to 8, starting with 1 from the bottom, and the horizontal end, it's with the letter, the alphabetical letter from A to H. So let's say if I'm talking about the location, if I talk about B3, then you would know, so B is right here, and 3, that's 1, 2, 3, so that is B3. So you right here. So you will have the pawns, which are 8 of them. These are called pawns. And then you have, in the very corner, you have the rooks. For the rooks, you have 2 of them, so on each side. So 2 rooks. Right next to them, going a little bit closer towards the middle, you have 2 knights. Look like the horses right here. That 2 knights. And then you have 2 bishops with the red highlight, that 2 bishops. And then right here with the crown, that is the queen. And next to the queen, that is your king. I think the way that I remember it on the chessboard would be that for the pawns, you have a lot of them. They're kind of like your soldiers, your frontline soldiers. And then you have 2 rooks, pretty powerful. I'll tell you why later. And your knight, your bishop, your queen is also very powerful. And then for your king and queen, you only have 1 for each of them. So it's kind of like in a kingdom, you only have 1 king and 1 queen, but you do have a lot of other positions in that kingdom. So now let's start with how each piece they'll be able to move on the chessboard. So I'll start with the king because that's the most important one that we want to look at and protect. So your king right here, the king can only move like upward, diagonally. It can go backward, forward, however it likes, just 1 square each time. It's the most important, but I want to say closer to the weakest one. So next to the king is the queen with the crown. So the queen, it's the most powerful piece I would consider in the chessboard because the queen can go upward, so forward, backward, diagonally, as far as it likes or as closer as it likes. And it captures in that fashion as well. So the queen's very powerful. So next to the queen, that is your 2 bishops, so 1 here and 1 over here next to the king. The bishops, so you can see it's kind of in the darker color shade of the square. So the bishop can only move diagonally, so like in this matter, or like the other side, as long as there are no pieces like in its way that it can move very freely, but only stay in that color. So like you have 1 bishop here and 1 bishop there. Let's go up and see your opponents, the same. So they kind of have to stay in their color, just in that direction, diagonally. But they can go forward and backward and capture in that fashion. And then next to the bishop, we have the knight. So the knights, you have 2 of them. It's a little bit tricky for new people, I think, because for the knights, it goes kind of like in the L shape. So it would go up like this. So it would kind of stay here. And it can go over here as well, and it can move over other pieces. So if you have something right in front of it, no problem, it can still move. But it's kind of like in the L shape, if you imagine it as a rectangle, like rectangular shape around it. So the knights can move like that and capture like that as well. So the next one is the rooks. You have 2 of them. I think they're only less powerful than the queen, but overall they're very powerful because they can go forward, so sideways, as far as they like, backward, they can backtrack whenever, and capture in that fashion. So the least powerful I would say like somewhat equally like weak with the king. That these are the pawns. The pawns right here. You get 8 of them. At least they're weak, but you get 8 of them. Um, so the pawns, the first step when you move it, you can move it upward 2 square. So the first move can go up all the way here. Like this one can go up here. Same for the rest of them. However, after the first move is made for the pawns, you can only go up 1 square each. So let's say if my pawn is already here, I can only go up right here. And that's it for the move. And when the pawns need to capture, you cannot capture in that fashion. So you have to capture it diagonally. So let's say my pawn is right here. I can capture this one or this one. So diagonally like that. To be honest, I don't want to say the pawn is the weakest one. I think the king is actually weaker because the pawns, they have their potential. If your pawns, for some reason, with nobody stopping it, if one of your pawn get all the way here, like to the other end of the chessboard, you can promote it. So you can promote your pawns to be a rook, a knight, a bishop, or even a queen. Most people, most cases, they would choose it to become the queen because when it becomes a queen, you can go diagonally, sideways, forward, backward, no restrictions as long as there's nothing in front of it. But it's easy to use, a lot of powerful, a lot of potential to capture all the pieces. I think it's a very good reward for your pawn's progress as long as you get all the way here, you make effort to get up here. It's worth it. After most of that, let's talk about some weird rules that they have in chess. So the first one, I think we already talked about the pawn promotion. So that's why I was saying the pawn has potential and it's kind of have a strong aspect to it. And the second rules for the weird special rules is that the en passant. So I'll put the pronunciation, the words somewhere right here. So en passant is when one of the pawns, let's say if my pawns, this one is right here. So if my pawn is already right here, and this one, since it is its first move, it can go up 2 squares. So it go right here, right next to me. So then my pawn, the white one, can just go up diagonally and capture it as it was only moved 1 square. So that is kind of make it fair, since sometimes this pawn can go just so fast and passing wherever my pawn was already here. The next special rule is castling. So castling is pretty special. I think it's useful in certain situations that can help you get out of being cornered. So let's say still on this chessboard, I wish I have a better photo to show you, which I don't. But let's say if most of these buddies are like gone and you're left with your king and a rook, and your king and the rook, they haven't been moving at all. This will be their first move, and your king is right here, your rook's here with some like pawns kind of covering, like just in the way, like being the obstacle for the rook to move. So castling means that you have the opportunity to switch plays. So that's how I would think of it. So it has to be in the situations that your king hasn't been moving at all. It will be its first move. Same with your rook, it will be their first move. So you can kind of flip the side, and your rook can be like somewhere out here if they have space, so they can move further. And it's also have to be the situation that you're not in check position, so you're not being checkmated. So I will play a match for 3 minutes, a quick one, just for example, to show you. For opening strategy, I don't know a lot. I just know some that you would raise your pawns and do just a very basic one. So I think it's important to just move your pawns up and then you move your knight. It's like the, not really attack or defend, it's just very textbook. So I'm fasting forward my video here. I mainly want to show you just a sample match, how it would start, and there are some very basic moves that I could make as a beginner. So I want to show you that, and the match gonna end soon. Oh, so this person ended up resigning faster than I expected. Um, and what I was saying earlier about having the positions, like the notations, that you can see like how everybody's move. And the thing I like about playing online is that on this website, you can also see the game review, and they would kind of analyze like where you make the mistakes, how did you do, um, like was it good or was it an okay strategy that I make? And because I played the 3 minute just for illustration purposes, so I think the issues like your time limited, the rush, the adrenaline, all of that, it might cause you to make like not very good decisions. But I just want to show you how it would usually be for playing chess because of course I always beat the time limit. But this one is a little bit faster, so of course it will cause you some mistakes there. So thank you for watching my third video blog for the cross-gender activity project, and I hope to see you in my next vlog, which is also will be the last one, to show you my journey summary, the good, the bad, and the ugly in learning and playing chess. So again, thank you, and I will see you later.